All right, you guys, what's going on? This your boy Town Biz. So, I have a few minutes to speak on this situation and speak on potential fight. Basically, is now we wait. Basically, November 8th could tell the telltale of what's going to happen in the near future in 2026. So the question is, will we get Jerron Boots in it versus Virgil Ortiz? I know this much. I bet you nobody I bet you ain't nobody, if the fight comes to fruition, I bet you nobody ain't gonna go during fight week up to, Jerron Boo's innocent say, question for Jerron, are you ready to feel the Mexican power? I mean, you know what? Who knows? If I go to the fight, maybe I'll do it. I know people gonna be mad at me, but I'll probably do it. Don't worry, you guys. Also, I'm going to talk about the incident that happened with Carissa Shields and a goofball prank person slash so-called comedian slash troll. And I'm going to tell you that I am completely 100% on Clarissa Shields' side about what happened with her and Gerald Houston. I don't like those type of people. I don't care for them. I think they're trash. I think a lot of times in public, they mess it up for real journalists and real people that's out there trying to get interviews and get content, that's really trying to be professional, even on the streets as, journalists, and how those dudes mess it up for people like me, and why sometimes they don't want to interact, they don't want to talk when you see them on the streets because of those type of dudes sitting up there trying to, humiliate people for clicks and views and likes and money at the expense of them trying to humiliate somebody. So I'm definitely going to talk about that. And I'm going to tell you that dude absolutely has no lawsuit. He has no case. A half decent lawyer would shut him down because all they would have to do is show all his videos and it'll be an open and shut case. And he has too many videos out to erase. He better just take that one to the chin and just leave it at that. So, I'll talk about that later on. Now, with that being said, let's talk about Jerron Boots. As you guys know, by the way, it was a funny video that Dante put out, talking about that the racist Mexican fans are back. Well, they never left. And that is true about them, creating creating these fake, YouTube channels and stuff and calling themselves Jamal James or Jamal Johnson and stuff, you know, or calling themselves a simple name and pretending to be black and stuff, which I think you are a bottom feeder if you resort to that. You got to be the lowest level of scum. And but it happens. So basically, what we're doing now, we're just waiting to see what's going to happen. Like I said, pretty much a month from now. What's up, buddy? Uh, we're just waiting to see what's going to happen a month from now. I'm going to be going to Dallas because one, Amari Jones is going to be fighting on the card. Amari Jones is a up and coming boxer out of Oakland. He's fighting at 154, if I'm not mistaken. But Amari is pretty big. Amari is like 6 feet 1.5, maybe even 6'2". So Amari will eventually move up, but I'm going there and supporting him. So I'll be in Dallas Fort Worth. So I'll be going to that fight. So in all likelihood, depending on how Ortiz looks, if he goes in there and he delivers a solid performance versus Lubin, which easier said than done, then I expect Boots to be there and they're going to announce the fight. Now, from what I've been told that they already have a deal in place. Now, I don't want to dive deep into this. Oh, Boots signed his end of the contract and all this kind of stuff. But from what I've been told, the agreement has already been worked out. Everything. They have a venue, they have a date, they have all that stuff. The fight is going to take place in Las Vegas. They didn't say which particular arena. Probably if I was a gambling man, it probably would take place at the Michelob Ultra Arena. It'll probably take place there, because that's a smaller venue. At capacity, it holds around maybe At capacity, it holds around maybe 13,000 people. And that's at capacity and maybe, standing room only. So it's going to be a smaller venue, and then, or it'll be at the MGM Grand, you know. So they have all this said and done. So basically, all Ortiz has to do is do his part. But I think there will be some moments that Lubin is going to have in that fight. Now, if Vergil Ortiz goes in there and blows right through, then I'll say, okay, impressive performance by Vergil Ortiz. All right, so now we got to fight. But they're hoping that Vergil Ortiz makes short work out of Arison Lubin. They're hoping that Vergil Ortiz jumps on him right away, establish himself. Vergil Ortiz does have, he does have a lot of power. So they're hoping that Vergil Ortiz jumps on him, establish himself, hurts him early, try to drop him, try to get him out of there as quick as possible. They don't want this fight to last no longer than probably 5 rounds. And at the same time, they want Vergil Ortiz to look good. Now, if it's one of these type of fights where it's a back and forth fight where Vergil Ortiz hits the canvas and then Lubin hits the canvas and then they just go back and forth, and then eventually there's a stoppage in the fight, but Vergil Ortiz doesn't look that dominant, I promise you there won't be no fight. I promise you they'll push the fight back. Well, that could be hit or miss. That could be, I always say that, when you have these guys that, fight, when they're on the up and coming list, and they have a lot of these fights where they have a lot of first round knockouts. That's what I was trying to tell people about Edgar Berlanga. They were handpicking a lot of these subpar boxers, and then Berlanga got so used to, fighting those dudes and getting rid of them in one round to where basically he didn't know what to do when he had a dude that didn't go away after one round. So that could be a curse or a minus. I think after a while you want to start getting your rounds in, because that's showing that you're fighting better competition. Because at the end of the day, boxing is just as much mental as it is physical. You eventually want to start relying on your IQ to win fights instead of relying just on your power, because you're going to always have that dude that's not going to go away after 1 or 2 rounds. So you don't want to become knockout happy, because if you become knockout happy, like you've seen happen with a lot of fighters, and then you fight that one dude, you hit him with everything, and you don't know what to do, then you start to question yourself. You start to doubt yourself. So as a fighter, I say this, you should always be prepared to go rounds instead of looking for a knockout. Now, if the knockout comes, then so be it. But you should always train and condition yourself to go rounds. However many rounds is scheduled for, that's how you should train yourself to say, okay, this is a 4-round fight. So for these 4 rounds, I'm going to try to win these rounds. Now, if I hit him with something and I get him out of there, yeah, I'm going to try. But you don't want to get so comfortable with knocking people out, like I said, to where you get a guy where he can take your power. That's always going to happen. So it's best to prepare yourself to go rounds. That's what you really train for anyway. You train to fight 3 minutes of however many rounds you're scheduled to fight. And in those 3 rounds, if you could try to land a punch that could hurt dude and basically, conclude the fight after what? If you're scheduled for 4 rounds and you want to, and you get them out of there within 2, fine. But then, like I said, you should always train to go rounds. I thought for the most part, I thought for the most part, a guy like that, you supposed to get rid of him. You don't, for that, for a guy like that, you want to get your rounds in, but you don't want to sit up there going 7, 8 rounds with this dude. You want to get some work in. He got him out of there in 1 round. So in all likelihood, when he fights Virgil Ortiz Jr., I don't think that's going to be a 1-round fight. Virgil Ortiz Jr. is a little bit tougher than that, or he's a lot tougher than that. I think, in all likelihood, Boots is going to win the fight. I would pick Boots to win the fight, but I think there could be some times where Virgil Ortiz may have a moment because Virgil Ortiz does hit relatively hard. So I don't think that Virgil Ortiz is going to win the fight, but I think he'll have some moments in the fight where he's going to test Jaron's chin. But yeah, I'm picking Virgil probably to get either stopped like late in the fight, maybe around the 8th round. I think Jaron will overwhelm him probably after the 4th round. You'll start to see him take off. I think either Jaron will overwhelm him and get like a late stoppage, or I think he'll punish him for like 12 rounds and win a decision. So we'll see. But all right, gotta get out of here. They finna open up the doors so I can get in here and go to work. But definitely gonna talk about this situation with Claressa Shields and Gerald Houston, and talk about why trolls and prank people are the worst people out there, and that they have no talent. And I think a lot of times when people be ready to go upside their head, they deserve it. It's well deserved.